What's going on, guys? Sharpshot here. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. So today's video, we're going to be doing a perk breakdown and perk ratings of the teachable perks of the brand new survivor, Jonah. Jonah is a CIA code breaker who was recently introduced in the 5.4.0 PTB. The perks that we're going to be looking at in this video are to be his PTB version of his perks. These aren't the final products. So if you're looking at this video after the PTB when he's released in the full game, the perks might have changed a little bit. We're going to be looking at his 3 teachable, and for each teachable I'm going to be explaining what that perk does, and I'm also going to be giving each perk a rating based on tiers, S being the best tier and D tier being the worst tier. And at the end of the video I'm going to be giving my overall thoughts on the survivor side of this new chapter and how I think behavior did with Jonah. By the way, if you haven't noticed already, I lost my voice because I have strep throat, so bear with me. Sorry if my voice is really annoying. Hopefully it'll fix itself soon. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into the video. The first perk we're going to be looking at is Overcome. Overcome is an exhaustion perk that gives you 2 extra seconds to that injured sprint burst you get whenever you get injured. Basically, whenever you get injured in a trial, you get a little sprint burst and you go forward really quickly. And this perk gives you 2 extra seconds of that quick movement speed. So it basically gives you an extra long sprint burst whenever you get injured. In the right scenario, this extra sprint burst can give you a huge distance and it can give you a huge lead inside of a chase. But unfortunately, since this perk does give the exhausted status effect, you wouldn't really be able to pair it with sprint burst and get like a double sprint burst where you get to sprint forward at the start of the chase and then once you get injured you get another sprint burst. It wouldn't really work like that. So I would probably rate this perk in the B tier. The extra long sprint burst you get whenever you get injured means that you'll get a lot of value out of it. Basically, whenever you get injured in the trial, you're basically going to get a huge sprint burst. But with that being said, there are definitely better exhaustion perks to run out there, like sprint burst or life, that you'll get a lot more value and a lot more distance out of. You already do get the sprint burst whenever you get injured, so it'd definitely be better to have 2 sprint bursts. For example, if you run another exhaustion perk like life or sprint burst, and have the smaller injury sprint burst rather than having 1 super long injury sprint burst, it'd be better to have 2 sprint bursts rather than 1, if that makes any sense. Moving on to Corrective Action. At tier 3, you start the trial with 3 tokens, and for every great skill check you hit, you gain a token up to a maximum of 5 tokens. And with these tokens, every time you're working on a generator with someone and they fail a skill check, it'll consume a token, and instead of failing that skill check, the survivor will be given a good skill check. So the gen won't explode and you won't lose regression. You'll actually gain progress because they'll turn it into a good skill check. This perk kind of reminds me of Fangman's Technician, and it's pretty good if you're playing with beginner survivors that aren't used to the DBD skill checks and fail a ton of skill checks, and it might actually come in pretty clutch if a survivor fails a skill check when they see the killer coming at them and they get jump scared a little bit. And if the gen is at 99%, maybe that'll be the difference between you completing the gen or having the killer kick it last second. But with that being said, I think I would put this perk in C tier. Yes, it could come in really clutch like I said before, and it could mean the difference between completing a gen and having it completely regress, but the chance of that happening is super minimal. And if you're playing solo queue, the chance that a survivor will fail a skill check while working on a gen with you, it'll probably happen once or maybe twice in a trial, if that. It might not even happen in a trial at all. And when they do fail a skill check, it's not the end of the world. So having a perk slot save a failed skill check for a good skill check isn't really useful in my opinion. Moving on to Boon Exponential. This is the 3rd boon introduced in DBD. Whenever you bless a dollar hex totem within 24 meters radius, this perk is active. And whenever you're inside of the boon's radius and you're in the dying state, at tier 3 you can recover 100% faster, and you can actually fully recover from the dying state. So this is exactly like Boon Unbreakable, and it basically makes you have Unbreakable whenever you're in the radius. And what's really nice about this is that other survivors get this effect too, so anybody inside that radius will basically have Unbreakable. With that being said, this might sound super OP, but I actually think this perk is B tier. Yes, it is extremely useful once you get value out of it, because everybody in the trial can recover from the dying state if they're inside the radius, but you actually have to be inside of the radius to actually get value out of it. And this also relies on the killer slugging, so the killer has to leave you in the dying state, and you also have to be inside of the radius. So whether that means being down inside of the radius or crawling to that radius, the chance of that happening in the trial is even slimmer than having the chance of recovering from Unbreakable. So you're almost never going to get use out of this perk, but once you do, it's going to be be super clutch. So yeah guys, those are the perk breakdown and ratings of Jonah's 3 teachables. If I were to rate the survivor side of this chapter out of 5 stars, I would probably rate it 3 out of 5 stars. With 2 B tier perks and a C tier perk, the perks aren't actually super good on paper, but with that being said, the 3 perks are actually really fun to use. We have an exhaustion perk, which are always really fun to work with, and then there's a Boon totem, which are brand new and super fun to use as well. And we also have the really unique perk that interacts with the survivors whenever they fail a skill check. So overall, the fact that these 3 perks are really fun, interesting, unique, and new concepts definitely bumps it up to a 3 out of 5, even though the perks themselves aren't super good, but they definitely do have their place in the meta. They're definitely going to be really fun to use when they come to the main game. So yeah guys, those are my thoughts and my perk breakdowns on the new survivors teachables. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the survivor side of this chapter. I think Behavior actually did a pretty good job on this, so kudos to them, and I'm super excited to keep using these perks when it comes out into the full game. So yeah guys, that's been the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you're new. This has been Sharpshaw, and I will see you guys in the next video.